everyone, welcome back. Today we're biking into something that affects millions, type 2 diabetes. But here's the twist.
The twist.
Yeah, we're focusing on how food can lower your risk. We're going beyond the basics, like
Really getting into the why behind it all.
exactly. We're using this awesome guide from Diabetes UK called 10 Tips for Healthy Eating if you are at risk of type 2 diabetes. Kind of like
Our roadmap for today.
exactly. So I was looking through it, and something jumped out at me. It says losing just 2 pounds can already make a difference.
Really? That little?
Yeah. Is that for real?
It is. It just shows you how even small changes can impact your health. But,
What?
we got to be real. Some risk factors are out of our control, like family history and age,
Right, like you can't just...
turn back time.
Aha, exactly.
But the cool thing is we do have power over what we eat and our weight. Those choices really matter.
So it's not all gloom and gloom.
Not at all. We can take charge. Speaking of taking charge, let's jump into tip number 1, ditching sugary drinks.
Okay, why is that so important? I mean, soda's bad, but like...
What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Well, there's a huge link between sugary drinks and diabetes risk. And get this,
What?
it's not just soda. Think fruit juice, smoothies. They can be loaded with sugar too.
Whoa, wait, really? I always thought those were healthy.
Yeah, they do have vitamins, but they've also got a ton of free sugars. That's added sugar, not the natural kind in fruit.
Oh, I see. So these sugars, they hit your blood sugar hard.
Over time, that can increase your risk, yeah.
So what can we drink? Water 247?
Water's fantastic, absolutely. But you can also have plain milk, unsweetened tea, even coffee,
What?
Unsweetened tea and coffee might actually lower your risk, some studies show.
Interesting. So like swapping that afternoon soda for an iced tea.
Could be a great start. Speaking of swaps, let's talk about tip number 2, choosing smart carbs.
Okay, break this down for me. Good carbs, bad carbs. What's the deal?
It's all about how your body handles them. Refined carbs like white bread, white rice, sugary cereals, they get digested quickly. And that,
Leads to those blood sugar spikes.
you got it. Instead, we want to focus on whole grains. Think brown rice, whole wheat pasta, oats. They're digested slower because of
Fibers?
Exactly, fibers like a sponge, slowing down how fast that sugar gets absorbed.
So like switching from white rice to brown rice at dinner could make a difference.
Totally. And when you're at the store, look for high fiber on the label.
Great tip. Okay, tip number 3 is rethink your protein. What's that about?
This might surprise you. Red and processed meats, bacon, sausages, even beef, they're linked to a higher risk.
Whoa, really? I thought those were good for protein.
They are a source, yeah. But studies show eating a lot of them can actually be harmful.
Interesting. So what are some good alternatives if we want to cut back? I mean,
Oh, there are tons. Beans, lentils, eggs, fish, chicken, turkey, nuts, all fantastic protein sources.
okay, cool.
And bonus, they're not just good for diabetes risk, they're heart healthy too.
Love that. 2 birds, 1 stone. Okay, I know we all got to eat fruits and veggies, but anything surprising about tip number 4, fruit and veg powerhouse?
Well, all fruits and veggies are good, but some really stand out when it comes to lowering diabetes risk.
Okay, like which ones?
Apples, grapes, berries, leafy greens like spinach, kale, they've all shown to be beneficial.
Wow, okay, so it doesn't matter if they're fresh, frozen, canned.
Nope, the key is just making them a regular part of your meals and snacks.
Gotcha. Okay, tip number 5, dairy delights. Hit me with it.
This one focuses on unsweetened yogurt and cheese.
Unsweetened. So like, should I be going for full-fat yogurt or low-fat?
Honestly, when it comes to dairy and diabetes, the fat isn't the main thing.
Wait, really? I always thought fat was like the enemy.
Haha, it's more about avoiding that added sugar. Choose plain yogurt and milk over the sweetened stuff.
Okay, so plain yogurt. Got it. And I know people are wondering, what about cheese? Can I still enjoy it?
Absolutely. Cheese, in moderation, can be part of a healthy diet. Again, just choose unsweetened.
Okay, phew. Music to my ears. All right, moving on. Tip number 6, alcohol awareness. How does alcohol play into all this?
Well, too much alcohol can up your risk. It's high in calories, can lead to weight gain, and that's a big risk factor, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's all about moderation.
Moderation is key, yeah.
And maybe try having some alcohol-free days each week. Swap that second glass of wine for sparkling water with lime.
Good point. There are tons of tasty non-alcoholic drinks out there these days.
Totally. All right, tip number 7, snack smarter. This is where I personally struggle.
Me too. Those unhealthy snacks are just so tempting.
I hear you. But with a little planning, we can make healthier choices. Instead of chips or cookies, how about nuts, seeds, fruits, veggies?
Those are good swaps, but what about portion control? I feel like I could easily overdo it, even with healthy snacks.
You're absolutely right. Portion control is key. It's easy to mindlessly snack, so pay attention to how much you're eating, even if it is healthy.
All right, tip number 8, fats. I gotta admit, I'm still kind of confused about fats. Are all fats bad for us?
Not at all. We need some fat for energy and other stuff. It's about knowing the difference between healthy fats and unhealthy fats.
Okay, so what are some unhealthy fats we should be limiting?
Unhealthy fats, like saturated and trans fats, they can raise your cholesterol and increase your risk of heart disease. They're in things like red meat, butter, and lots of processed food like cookies and cakes.
Got it. Avoid those as much as possible. What about healthy fats? What are some examples?
Healthy fats like monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, those are the good guys. Think avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, fatty fish like salmon.
I love avocados, and I've heard oily fish are amazing for your heart.
You're right, they have omega-3 fatty acids, which are especially good for your heart. And since folks at risk of type 2 diabetes are also at higher risk of heart problems.
It's even more important to get those good fats.
Yeah, so choosing the right fats and being mindful of how much we're eating. All right, tip number 9, salt savvy. I know too much salt isn't good for blood pressure, but what's the link to diabetes? Well, high salt intake can lead to high blood pressure. And guess what?
Yes.
High blood pressure is linked to a higher risk of both heart disease and type 2 diabetes.
Oh, wow. So how do we keep our salt intake down?
Aim for about a teaspoon a day. Remember, lots of packaged foods, bacon, sausages, ready meals, they're already loaded with salt.
So reading labels is crucial.
You bet. Check the sodium content and compare different brands. And cooking from scratch more often gives you more control.
And what about flavor? I love salt, but are there any good alternatives?
Herbs and spices are your new best friends. There are so many amazing flavors out there. It's about getting adventurous.
Right. Okay, last one. Tip number 10, food first, supplements second. Seems pretty straightforward, but is there anything we need to know?
Well, there's this idea that you could just pop a pill and poof, no more diabetes risk.
Yeah, I've seen those ads.
They're tempting, but the truth is, while some supplements might help a little, they're not a magic bullet.
So focus on real food, not supplements.
Exactly. A balanced diet full of those whole foods we've been talking about, that's the best way to get the nutrients you need.
Awesome. Wow, we covered a lot today. It's amazing how much science is behind all this.
It really is. And the good news is, you don't have to make crazy changes overnight. Even small, gradual changes over time can make a huge difference.
That's really encouraging, and this guide gives us such clear steps to take.
It really does. So for our listeners out there, here's a challenge. Pick one tip from today's deep dive, just one, and try it this week. Maybe it's swapping sugary drinks for water or adding more veggies to your dinner.
What feels achievable for you right now? Think about it, make a plan, and take that first step. We're rooting for you.
And hey, remember, you're not alone on this journey. There are resources out there like Diabetes UK with tons of info and support.
Great reminder. And on that note, we'll wrap up part 1 of this deep dive. Join us for part 2, where we'll go even deeper into the science behind all of this. See you then. Welcome back to our deep dive. We're unpacking how eating healthy can actually lower your risk of type 2 diabetes.
It's amazing how much power we have just by making smart food choices.
In part 1, we went through those 10 tips from Diabetes UK, and
What'd you think?
I was blown away by how much science backs up these simple tips.
Right. It's not just like random advice. It's all backed by research.
So let's get into that science. What's going on in our bodies when we talk about blood sugar spikes and insulin resistance?
Ah, the big buzzwords.
Yeah, I hear them all the time, but I'm not sure I really get them.
Okay, let's break it down. Imagine you just ate. Your body starts turning carbs into glucose, which is a sugar that goes into your bloodstream.
Okay, glucose. That's our body's main energy source, right?
Exactly. And this rise in blood glucose, it tells your pancreas to release insulin.
Right. Insulin, it's important, but what does it actually do?
Insulin's like a key that unlocks your cells, letting glucose in to be used for energy.
Ah, okay, so the glucose gets in, our bodies have energy, we're good.
Exactly. That's how it's supposed to work. But for people at risk of type 2 diabetes,
Things get messy.
kinda. If you're always eating refined carbs and sugary drinks, your cells can start ignoring insulin.
Like they become resistant to it.
Exactly. It's harder for glucose to get in.
So then what happens to the glucose if it can't get into the cells?
It builds up in your blood, and that's what we call hyperglycemia, high blood sugar. It's a big sign of diabetes, and it can cause a whole bunch of problems.
Like what kinds of problems? Give me the scary details.
Well, over time, high blood sugar can damage your blood vessels and nerves, increasing your risk of heart disease, stroke, kidney problems, vision issues.
Oh, wow. That's serious.
It is. That's why managing blood sugar is so important, and that's where those healthy eating tips come in.
Right. They help keep our blood sugar in check.
Exactly. By choosing foods that help regulate blood sugar and improve insulin sensitivity, we can seriously lower our risk of all those scary complications.
Okay, that makes sense. So when we talk about fiber and blood sugar control...
Fiber's the MVP.
Aha, I love that. But seriously, what's the science behind it?
Okay, so fiber is a carb, but our bodies can't digest it. So in our gut, it acts like a sponge. slowing down how fast glucose gets absorbed into the blood.
It's like a buffer for our blood sugar.
Exactly. It prevents those crazy spikes that can lead to insulin resistance.
Ah, okay, so that's why whole grains, fruits, veggies are so important. They're all high in fiber. Speaking of things that were surprising, let's talk about red and processed meat. You said it's linked to a higher risk, which I found really interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you wouldn't necessarily think about.
Right, like why would red meat be bad? It seems healthy.
There are a few theories. One is about heme iron, the type of iron found in red meat. Some studies say it might contribute to something called oxidative stress.
Okay, oxidative stress sounds kind of intense.
It's like rust forming on a car. It's a similar process in our bodies when we have too much oxidative stress. Our cells get rusty, and they don't work as well.
Ah, I get it. So it's not just about the protein in meat, it's about these other compounds that can be harmful.
Exactly. Another theory focuses on nitrates and nitrites, which are used to preserve processed meats. Those have also been linked to a higher risk.
So it's a double whammy with processed meats.
You got it. We don't have to totally ditch red meat, but moderation is key.
And there are so many other delicious proteins out there.
Tons. Okay, and curious, what stood out to you about those specific fruits and veggies we talked about? Apples, grapes, berries, leafy greens. Why do you think they're so beneficial?
Honestly, it's fascinating that they're all so different, but they all seem to help protect against diabetes.
It's not just one magic ingredient, it's the unique combination of nutrients they offer.
Like what kinds of things?
They're packed with antioxidants, fiber, vitamins, and minerals that help regulate blood sugar and improve insulin sensitivity. For example, berries, they're famous for their antioxidants.
Which help protect our cells.
Exactly. They neutralize harmful molecules called free radicals that can damage cells. And leafy greens.
Oh, they're nutritional powerhouses. So many vitamins and minerals.
They're especially high in magnesium, which is important for insulin to work properly.
Okay, so it's about getting a variety of fruits and veggies to get all those good nutrients.
Exactly. Now, switching gears to dairy, you mentioned unsweetened yogurt and cheese being linked to a lower risk.
Yeah, that one's still blowing my mind a little. I always thought dairy was something to limit.
It's a common myth. And like a lot of nutrition stuff, it's more complex than that. Research shows that the probiotics in yogurt might actually be helping.
Probiotics, those are the good bacteria in our gut, right?
Yes, and more research is showing that gut health is hugely important for our overall health, including our metabolism.
So those good bacteria in yogurt could be making us more sensitive to insulin.
Exactly. And as for cheese, some researchers think the calcium, vitamin D, and other compounds in it might also be playing a role.
Wow, so dairy might not be so bad after all, but we got to stick to unsweetened.
Absolutely. Added sugar is something to watch out for in everything. Now let's talk alcohol. We know too much is a no-no. But what's the connection to diabetes specifically?
Yeah, how does it affect our risk?
Alcohol can really mess with how our body produces and uses insulin.
Really? Break that down for me. What's happening in our bodies when we drink?
Okay, so when you drink, your liver has to focus on breaking down the alcohol. And this means it can't do other things as well, like regulating blood sugar.
So it's too busy with the alcohol to be its other jobs.
Exactly. This can cause your blood glucose levels to go up and down, and over time, that can lead to insulin resistance.
Ah, so it's not just about the empty calories, it's actually messing with our metabolism.
Exactly. And then, of course, you've got the whole weight gain issue, which also ups your risk.
Right, it's a triple whammy. Okay, let's talk more about fats. We talk about good fats and bad fats, but why are those unhealthy fats so bad for us?
They're sneaky little devils.
Haha, I bet. But seriously, what do they do?
Unhealthy fats, especially trans fats, can increase your bad cholesterol and lower your good cholesterol.
Right, bad cholesterol is the one we want to avoid, and good cholesterol is the protector.
You got it. And when we have too much bad cholesterol, it can build up in our arteries, making it harder for blood to flow.
Which can lead to heart attacks and strokes.
Exactly. And since folks with type 2 diabetes are already at a higher risk for heart problems,
it's even more important for them to limit those unhealthy fats.
absolutely. It's crucial for everyone, but especially for them.
Okay, so how do we avoid those unhealthy fats? Where are they hiding?
They're usually lurking in processed foods, fried foods, baked goods, and fatty cuts of meat.
Got it. What about healthy fats? Where can we find those?
Oh, they're in delicious things. Avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, fatty fish. Think real, whole foods.
Okay, I'm seeing a theme here.
There's definitely a pattern. All right, let's tackle salt. We know too much can lead to high blood pressure, but how does that connect to diabetes?
Yeah, fill in the blanks for me.
Okay, so high salt intake can actually contribute to insulin resistance.
Really? But how? Does the salt directly mess with insulin?
It's a bit more indirect. When you eat a lot of salt, your body holds on to more water to try to dilute the salt in your blood.
It's trying to balance things out.
Exactly. But all that extra fluid puts stress on your blood vessels and kidneys, which can lead to high blood pressure.
And I know high blood pressure is bad news.
It is. Over time, it can damage those tiny blood vessels in your pancreas.
The pancreas, that's where insulin is made, right?
That's right. And when those blood vessels are damaged, the pancreas can't make insulin as effectively.
So it's a chain reaction. Salt leads to high blood pressure, which damages the pancreas, and then we have less insulin, which contributes to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes.
Wow, you explained it perfectly.
Haha, thanks. I'm starting to really get this. It's amazing how connected everything is in our bodies.
It really is. Everything we do, what we eat, how much we move, how we manage stress, it all plays a role in our overall health.
And while supplements might have a place, they can't replace a healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely. The real magic happens when we focus on the fundamentals. Eating a balanced diet, staying active, and managing our stress.
Well said. Okay, I feel like we've gone deep into the science behind these 10 tips.
We've been on quite a journey.
We've learned so much about how food choices affect our risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
It's been a fascinating exploration. And you know what?
Yeah.
In part 3, we're going to take all this knowledge and figure out how to use it.
Yes, let's turn it into action. See you there for the final part of our deep dive. All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We've spent the last 2 parts exploring these 10 tips from Diabetes UK, learning not just what to eat, but the science behind why.
And now it's all about the how. How do we actually use this info in our everyday lives?
Right, because knowing stuff is only helpful if we actually,
Put it into action.
Exactly. So let's brainstorm some strategies for our listeners. How can we make these tips stick?
Love it. Let's start with those sugary drinks. We know they're bad news. How do we ditch them for good?
For me, it's having a tasty alternative ready. Like, if there's iced tea or sparkling water with some fruit in the fridge, I'm way less likely to grab a soda.
That's such a good point. Having healthy options front and center makes a huge difference. And it doesn't have to be fancy. Even just adding cucumber or lesin to water.
Yeah, or berries, anything to make it more fun.
Exactly. And if you don't love plain water, there are tons of unsweetened flavored waters out there now.
True. Just gotta check those labels for added sugar.
Always read the labels. Okay, what about those sneaky carbs? We want to choose those fiber-rich whole grains, but sometimes those refined carbs,
Oh, they sneak in everywhere.
they really do. That's why checking labels is so important. Look at the fiber content, the added sugar.
I try to make it a game, like, can I find the option with the most fiber?
Aha, I love that. Make it fun, yeah. Okay, so we're ditching sugary drinks, choosing smart carbs. What about rethinking protein? Red and processed meats, they're on the no list, but that could be a tough switch.
Especially if you eat them all the time.
Right, start small. Maybe swap red meat for beans or lentils once or twice a week. You could try lentil soup, veggie burgers, tofu stir fry.
Those are great ideas. And if you like fish, how about adding more salmon or mackerel? They've got those good omega-3s.
Yes, small changes, over time, they make a big difference.
All right, fruits and veggies. We know they're good for us, but how do we actually eat more of them?
One thing I do is keep a bowl of fruit on the counter. It's a visual reminder to snack healthy.
I like that.
And at the store, I challenge myself to pick a new fruit or veggie each week. Keeps things exciting.
Ooh, good idea. I like to sneak veggies into dishes.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Like spinach in smoothies, zucchini and pasta sauce, nobody even notices.
It's the best way to get picky eaters to eat their veggies.
Haha, totally. And for busy days, pro-cut veggies or frozen fruits and veggies are lifesavers.
They are. Okay, let's talk dairy. Unsweetened yogurt and cheese can be good, but how do we choose the right ones?
Labels, labels, labels. Look for plain yogurt and cheese, no added sugar. I love Greek yogurt. It's higher in protein and lower in carbs than regular yogurt.
Good point. And if you're a cheese fan, try different types. Feta is lower in calories and adds a nice tang to salads.
Ooh, I love feta. All right, alcohol. Moderation is key, but how do we stick to that, especially in social situations?
Know your triggers. If you tend to overdo it at parties, plan ahead. Maybe alternate alcoholic drinks with sparkling water, or choose something lower in alcohol.
Good tips. And sometimes it's about setting boundaries. You can always say no to a drink if you've had enough.
Absolutely. Your health comes first. Speaking of temptation, let's talk snacking. How do we avoid those unhealthy processed snacks when the cravings hit?
Planning is key, EY. I always pack a healthy snack if I'm going to be out. Nuts, fruit, yogurt.
Me too. And at home, I keep healthy snacks in plain sight. Popcorn, rice cakes with nut butter, veggie sticks with hummus.
Great ideas. All right, fats. How do we navigate the world of fats and make sure we're choosing the good ones?
Cooking with healthy oils like olive oil or avocado oil is a great start.
Yeah,
And when you eat out, ask how the food is prepared. Choose grilled or baked over fried.
good tip. I love adding avocado to everything.
It's so versatile, right?
Salads, sandwiches, even smoothies.
All right, last one, salt. We want to limit it, but how do we do that without making our food bland?
Cooking at home more gives you control over how much salt you add.
Totally. And if you are using packaged foods, compare labels, choose the lowest sodium option.
Yeah, label reading skills are essential.
And don't forget herbs and spices.
They're the best. Garlic, ginger, paprika.
It's about getting creative in the kitchen.
Exactly. Finding what you enjoy. Well, I think we've given our listeners some great strategies to use these 10 tips.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
Any final thoughts?
Remember, even small changes add up. It's about progress, not perfection.
Love that. What's one small change you can make today? Maybe swapping a sugary drink, adding more veggies, trying a new whole grain?
Whatever it is, celebrate that win. You're taking charge of your health.
And for more info, check out Diabetes UK. They've got tons of resources and support.
Great reminder.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into healthy eating and type 2 diabetes prevention. Thanks for joining us.
It's been fun.
Until next time, stay curious.